Carl Dahm here, representing my YouTube channel called Real P&L. On Thursday, May 14th, 2020, I signed up for Dan Parker's True Trader. I'm taking the course to share my experience. Notice that below I don't have an affiliate link for TrueTrader.net. That's because I'm here to give my real experience and my honest opinion. I want to make it clear that I'm not going to be giving away any proprietary information regarding Dan Parker or TrueTrader.net. I'm only going to give my personal experience over taking the course on a daily basis. As soon as I paid my $395, I got started on the recommended course. The first thing I learned was how they wanted to set up Thinkorswim or Toss. That took me about an hour. After I set up the platform, I took the recommended course. It took me about 4 hours to go through that course. I'm actually going to use a paper money account starting with $25,000. One of the things I wanted to get out there was, what are my expectations in this course? And so I put together a little clip here. If I show you this clip, I think you'll get a good idea of what my expectations are going in. So let me show you that.
And it works every single day, especially in the first 30 to 60 minutes of the market open for consistent daily profits with minimal risk. I can make 2 to 5% per day trading these names with minimal risk in the first hour of the morning. I'm cash by the close every single day. System to make returns on your account every single morning. Only way to make consistent profits in the market is to look for 2 to 5% trades every single day in the first half an hour of the morning. I am probably the best trader online that's public and showing all of his trades live for real on his site and in his room, and calling them live in real time over the mic and screen share. Everyone sees it. I have nothing to hide. I make 2 to 5% trading stocks every single day, playing real liquid names like Visa and Disney. What you can do and what's legal is day trading stocks every single morning for 2 to 5% gains. And I know how to make money in the first 30 minutes of the market open and never holding any positions overnight. I hate overnight risk. I hate gap downs. I just hate it. 30 minutes, boom, bang, I'm done. I'm off to enjoy my day. Now you can pretty much copy me for 2 to 5% gains every single morning. I'll see you soon.
So before I get into the $100,000 heist, I'm going to go over my experience and my opinion with the course. Before I give my overall opinion, I wanted to get into some of the details in a calendar format. And to start out here, you can see that the cost of the course was $395. That was for 1 month. And you can see day one was on the 15th of May. And you can see that I did not hit my goal of 2%. The account value was $25,000. That's what I started with. And Dan did not make 2% that day. There were multiple guys on the live stream. Was not sure who to follow. And I noticed that Dan said he would stay on longer than the hour, which was something I didn't expect. And at this point, I'm trying to figure out how many shares to trade. And Dan had no trades on that day. And then day two, Dan made some good money and his screen showed the executions. So I'm thinking, maybe this guy's for real. I traded a tiny amount of shares just to get a feel. And I may have hit my target of $500 if I was sized properly, but I couldn't find anywhere where they really talked about sizing in the course. Day three, they traded a well-known stock. We started with a 1/3 size just to kind of get our feet wet and hope that the market or that the stock would kind of go, we were long, we were hoping it would go lower, for example, and it just never did. So we only ended up with 1/3 of the size. So you can see that my goal wasn't achieved and Dan's goal, well, Dan's 2% was not achieved. You can see the account value went up to $25,089. Now day four, I found it was easy to get around Discord and find everything to set up the live stream, because the first 3 days I was kind of running around a little bit trying to figure out how do I get this thing up and running. But after day four, I was real comfortable with that. I did make an execution mistake on that day, and Dan made some money on that day, but not the 2%. Day five, and I just kind of realized the hardest part of doing all this is getting up every morning at 6:15 a.m. because I'm on the West Coast. I made another trade execution error, but luckily I made money. And I noticed that trading slows down significantly after 30 minutes into the day. And Dan talked about holding trades beyond that first hour, which was another surprise. But neither of us hit the 2% goal on day 5. Day 6, I was trying to balance on how many shares to buy so I could make a 2% return and then without running out of buying power. And I did hit my goal of 2% that day, and Dan did not. Something interesting if you see that I put a line through this right here, what that means is that I wasn't able to see any trade executions or any P&L on the screen. If I don't see trade executions or P&L on the screen, I don't know if what they're saying is credible. They're saying they're getting into a stock, they're getting out. I really don't know if that's really happening, because if I don't see the trade execution, it's a little sketchy, in my opinion. That Monday the 25th, the market was closed for holiday. And then day 7, I kind of realized at this point that if I want to make a 2% return and have enough buying power, I can really only look at trading 1 to 2, maybe 3 stocks. And when a fill occurs, I place a stop loss, and I didn't see Dan place a stop loss today. And you can see that neither of us hit our 2% goal. And he didn't show his trades on the screen. Day 8, Dan held stock overnight, which was another thing I did not expect. And I also realized at this point that I never see the total portfolio P&L. All I see are the spreadsheets on a website. So this is an area where credibility is lost here for TrueTrader.net. Day 9, I realized the best way to trade with Dan is to listen rather than trying to input all of the symbols every time he puts a symbol in and I try to chase him around. I'll just wait to hear what he has to say. Neither of us achieved our goals, but you can see my account value is up to 25,718, which is, I'm positive, but it's not nearly that 2% per day. Day 10, I realized following Dan that he gets in and I have maybe 1 to 2 seconds to get in with him, and usually I can't make it in on time. So I have to hope that the stock comes back down or back up, back down if we're long or back up if he's short, in order to kind of get in there with him. His audio was on mute during the trade that he made money, so there was no way I could really follow on this particular day. But it did sound like he made his target goal, but I don't know for sure because I didn't see it. Didn't see it on the screen, so maybe he did that day. I don't know. Day 11, Dan shorted a stock, and I could not short it because it wasn't available to short on Thinkorswim. I'm kind of realizing here that Dan's either takes a trade that's too fast and I can't get in, or he calls out a potential trade that's very far away from the market. Like, for example, if he's long and he says, and the stock's trading at 50, he might say, if the stock goes to 48, I'll go long. But the odds of that stock going to 48 are very low. So that's where all the canceled orders come from, that low probability of taking a trade. Day 12, Dan called out a short, and again, the shares were not available to short on toss. And I lost money because just at 7:30, once the hour's up, I just close out all my positions. And that could work to my advantage sometimes too, but I lost money on this particular day. And Dan was holding past that 1 hour mark. But you can see that neither of us hit our goal. And I could not see the trade executions on the screen on day 12. Day 13, I was thinking, I want to kind of learn this system and trade without Dan, but there's really no way. Like, I was not even close. In fact, after all of this 20 days, I'm not even close to being able to trade on my own. And I also seem to learn new rules every once in a while, like today, that weren't in the course. Dan might mention some new kind of rule, and it's like, no way am I going to be able to do this on my own right now. Day 14, another new rule was adding to the traded system based on what Dan said. And he made a little money because he traded small. If he probably would have traded in full, he probably would have made his 2%. I didn't make 2%. Day 15, I'm losing confidence in my ability to make 2% because I've only done it once in the last 14 days. And this is the day that Adriano claimed to make over $100,000, but he didn't share his screen. So that's kind of questionable. Day 16, I'm realizing that on over half the days, no actual trades were even taken. So in a lot of these days, there's no orders, no executions being made by Dan. and I wasn't able to see the screen again. On day 17, Dan executes some trades, but it's way too late for me to get in. And then he calls out some potential trades, and they're too far away from the market and never get executed. That seems to be a common theme. And again, cannot see any execution on the screen. Day 18, Dan showed some type of scalping where he's in these trades for like 3 to 10 seconds, but he says he'll never teach that to anyone because it's too risky. And again, did not show his executions on the screen. He did for this little scalping thing, but not for anything that he recommended. Day 19, I made a full point on this day, but my shares are too small to hit my $500 profit target because Dan called out saying take a small size, and so he didn't make his 2%, and I didn't make my 2% because of that. If we would have taken full size, we would have made it. And again, did not see any trade execution on the screen. I heard him call it out, but I didn't see it happen. And day 20, nothing was traded this day. Another 0 traded days. In fact, out of all of these 20 days, at least half of them, there were no trades to follow or to take. And again, nothing on the screen to see if the actual things that they were saying were occurring. So you can see here out of 20 days, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Half of those days, I didn't get to see any real proof or trade execution on the screen. And for me, that is the #1 thing that gives credibility. So my overall thought process here is if you want to learn how to day trade and you want to kind of learn a few things, there's some things you could learn here for sure. But as far as being credible, as far as getting the expectations of making 2 to 5% a day, I don't see that happening. Maybe it happened, once or twice? And if you don't share your screen, even if it happened on those days, I would not say that it happened. Like, it's not credible. So that is my overall opinion on the course. I'm 20 days into this course, and 20 days is about what I got out of a 1 month's subscription. So today, day 20, was the last day. I've been looking to make 2% or approximately 5% per day, and my balance after 20 days should be around $35,000 since I started with $25,000, but my balance is $25,939. So I'm up about 3.8% in 4 weeks, but that's not close to being up 2 to 5% per day. And my calculations are that Dan is up around approximately 7% over the last 4 weeks. And next, I'm going to go over the $100,000 heist. Well, what am I talking about? When I'm talking about the $100,000 heist, well, you're going to go ahead and see that now. Over the weekend, you can see here that a guy named Adriano uploaded this video here. This is actually the live stream. It's the cut down version. You know, it's only 11 minutes long, but it is actually Friday's live stream, just the kind of the highlights from it. And he did make it public. And if you remember, one of the things that I mentioned on Friday's video is that there's something missing here. What is missing? Well, let me just play this little blip here to kind of give you an idea of what happened that day, or what they wanted you to think happened.
100 left. I'm out. That's $100,000 in 14 minutes.
Okay, so $100,000 in 14 minutes. That's pretty good. That's really good. But what's missing here? I see graphs, I see pricing, but I don't see trade executions. So, of course, I want to see trade executions. So I ask in the comment section, can anyone show me where the trade executions are on the screen? You know, I'm used to toss. Thanks. I have not gotten any reply. There are some interesting comments on here though. Thank you, Adriano and Dan. You guys truly changed my life. I love you guys. I didn't know it was life-changing that you promised to make 2 to 5% per day. In my calculations, and from being here for 16 days, I have seen that happen once. But other than that, I haven't seen it happen. Wouldn't call that life-changing. My opinion is that they're using a company called Trustpilot. What Trustpilot does is, to my knowledge, they do 3 things. 1, they filter comments, they create comments that aren't necessarily from real people. For example, all of these comments are, not all of them, but I would say most of these comments here, I don't know if those are real people saying those things. And number three, they create fake testimonials. Let's take a look at Trustpilot. Let's go to Wikipedia here. Trustpilot. The site offers freemium service, blah, blah, blah. It relies on users, software, and compliance team to report and remove reviews from the platform that violate Trustpilot's content guidelines. Okay, I wonder what their guidelines are. Because I'm asking here, can anyone show me where the trade executions occurred on this? And if I go in with a different account, same video here, here's my comment on the left, here's the same video, here's my comment on the right. This guy's comment came in, this guy was there. You know, this one about how this person's life got changed, that comment stays there. But the comment about, can anyone show where the trade execution were on the screen, that's not there. That comment got deleted or hidden. So I guess Trustpilot has a policy, or maybe it's not Trustpilot, but somebody has a policy to where if you ask a simple question about proof of where the trade execution occurred, that one goes away and it's crickets. So I thought that was very interesting as far as about how the comments on their video are being erased, and I'm assuming they use Trustpilot, or maybe they monitor it themselves, I don't know, but they didn't like that comment, even though it wasn't that bad of a comment. I'm not saying anything negative, I'm just asking a simple question that I think is a legitimate question if you're somebody taking their course and you want to learn how they're trading. So there you have what I would call the $100,000 heist, because they said that they made $100,000, but there was no proof. If you're interested in how I took the course in much more detail, I've broken down the 4 weeks into 1 week sections where I actually go over the fine details of my experience with the course. If you're interested in those videos, you can find them in my Real P&L channel. Overall, please notice that I spent $395 on this course. I spent over 30 hours taking this course, and I spent at least another 3 hours on this particular video. If you feel like you've gotten any value out of this, all I ask in return is that you subscribe, hit the like button, and the notification bell. You want to hit that bell so you can see my opinion behind the paywall on the next course that I take.